Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay in this one, but it's late, but yet another week and yet another True Gamer Dimension Solocast. I'm Aaron, the Gaming Godfather, the host, and this one's gonna be incredibly short. As you can tell from my voice, I'm feeling incredibly better. I did prove that it was allergies. I've been suffering from severe allergies. So the plus side is I know what the cause is. The downside is it's not completely gone. I still have a minor cold or minor cough, but I can keep that down with just simple cough drops. So it's nothing too serious, nothing like infection or virus or cancer, nothing like that. Thank God. So that's one reason why I'm a bit late. Is I've buckled down, I think Friday, and got allergy medicine. So that kind of knocked me for a loop that first day, and I decided to kind of take Saturday and Sunday off to get caught up on a couple things. Not only that, but Saturday was also a family uh, event, so I didn't want to be rushing anything like that. Rushing into anything like that, where just make work the main priority. Family is a very, very big thing for me, and I rarely get to see my family, especially as much family as I did this time because it was a very special event. So what I did, I just got to see some of my family members I haven't seen in years, literally years. And the ones I have, I can see quite often because they live in my town with me. And I still don't get to hang out with them as much as I like to. So I got to just play a couple of games, like lawn bowling, little things like that, just kind of mess around and have fun with family. So that's why Saturday. Sunday, similar thing. The family's still in town that I've not seen in years, so I went to go with them and just hang out there for a little bit and just kind of enjoy having a day off considering how much of a hell week last week was. So apologies all around that this one is late. Not only that, but short. As you can tell, the longer I talk, the worse my voice can get. And that's the reason why is I need to time my allergy medicine a little bit better because I take it right around the time I'm going to start recording. So I'm just going to start taking it's supposed to be for 24 hours, but I'm going to start taking it, I believe, more like noon or so. So it's a little bit earlier on the day, like maybe as soon as I get off work. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get into two topics. No news, no reviews, nothing like that. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go against that. I literally just saw Amazing Spider-Man 2 today. It's a fantastic film. I had a couple little qualms with it, but nothing too major. There are just certain things I didn't agree with, and I don't want to talk too much into it because I don't want to spoil anything. The one thing I will admit, I was actually very surprised how closely, in one regards, they're following the comic book. I was actually quite shocked how the comic books were actually playing out in front of me regarding a couple of the characters. Again, I don't want to say names or what happened, what occurred, but it is incredibly well done film. I actually love this one, and to me, I would safely say this is probably in my regards, the best comic book movie, as in follows as well as it can with what it has. It keeps to decent time constraints. The characters feel like they are believable in the real world where technology and things like that are available. I doubt you'd see anything like Rhino suit and the Green Goblin flying around and a guy made of electricity in our lifetime. But be that as it may, that's where the comic book aspect of it comes into play, and that's why I really enjoyed it. I was really, really hesitant with Jamie Foxx playing Electro. Don't play the racist card. It's not that. It's just because I've never seen him play that type of character. The way he played Max Dillon was actually really well done. He made the character his own. So props to Jamie Foxx. He did a phenomenal job playing Max Dillon as sort of a geeky kind of guy that kind of starts to lose it a little bit, and the psychosis that afflicts Max Dillon is outstanding. I loved watching him literally grow into Electro. That's something you rarely get to see in movies, let alone comic book movies. You rarely get to see. You'll see like an origin, and that's about it. But rarely do you get to see, especially villains, get to see them grow and become the person they're going to be down the road. That was really well done. Especially they did it as quick as they could. They had a couple. They had to cut some they had to jump a few time gaps. They had to kind of speed things up along, weeks to jump around here, there, months, so on and so forth. But they did a phenomenal job of that. I wasn't a big fan of Green Goblin, but that's because there's too much left in the opening in regards to whether what happened with him exactly. It's when you watch the film, you know what I mean. There's too much what ifs. How is it still ongoing? What's the status like of this person? Things of that nature. I did enjoy how they really treated the characters. That was a big thing for me. Peter Parker and Spider-Man both have their own times. As in, you can see Peter Parker still kind of, it's eating him up, involving Gwen Stacy's dad's death, and him just trying to basically come to terms of himself as a person in life, not just Spider-Man, but as an actual human. And Spider-Man being an actual hero, not like Batman beating up people, not Superman flying around destroying stuff. No, actually helping people for the sake of helping people, even in the smallest mundane ways. That was just that was great. As far as visuals, I thought it looked absolutely amazing. There are a couple times I wasn't a big fan of the slowdown. I think it could have been cut down a little bit less, but not too much. It was almost spot on. All in all, it's a great film. I really enjoyed it. The one thing that was kind of weird, though, was how the post-credits or mid-credits thing was, and this is not a spoiler. This has already been, you can already hear about it. It's not 100% spoiler. It doesn't want to give away anything. It's actually a sneak peek at X-Men Days of Future Past. So that was something a little bit different. If you want to know more about it, just simply look into it. You can just Google it. You'll find out about it. I'm not going to go into great details. But that was actually kind of interesting. So there's that. I have mixed feelings regarding like the cross-species stuff, like man turning a lizard, man being bit by a spider, and how they're kind of taking that a little bit further. And then they're making it their own. And that's what I really like. You can't just simply follow straight up what the comics like, otherwise you'll get really weird stuff. Case in point, if you look at Spider-Man, he's got some really messed up comic book stuff. Perfect example, the one I always default to is him killing Mary Jane with radioactive fluids. I'm going to leave it at that. So, yeah. Amazing Spider-Man 2, great film. Go watch it. That's the simple point of it. I just want to get it out there. There are certain points that they come out of nowhere. Pacing can be a little bit of a problem where they kind of it feels like almost a set of events that kind of connect to each other but don't flow that well into each other. I might be nitpicking, but that was something very minor. It wasn't like brick walls and that was a transition. It was just not very 100% organic as in regards to how each event ended and transitioned to the next. If I had to give the number, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I love the film. I just had a few minor qualms with it, and I highly recommend anybody, whether if you're a comic book fan or not, to watch it. And if you are a Spider-Man fan, I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan. I've always enjoyed Spider-Man as a character, not as much as the comic books, but I would completely back this up as far as being a fan of Spider-Man as a character, not so much as a comic book character, because I don't know everything. I don't have a bunch of Spider-Man comic books. So, on to other things. There's something I was so glad about, speaking of movies, that I've been wondering for literally weeks now, more likely months. Does Godzilla in the latest upcoming Godzilla 2014, it's only coming up in 2 weeks, I can't believe it, been waiting years for this. Does he have his iconic heat ray, the atomic heat ray he projects from his mouth? Does he have it? And yes, it has been officially shown. There's a video game for it. It's actually for mobile, but I believe it's also browser-based as well. But it's made by a company And the company came out in regards to it being in the game, the blue atomic heat ray, and they said, we are happy to say that we were given a special showing of the film, and we were able to see the basically his what people think is his fire breath. They've seen it, how it looks in the movie, and they were able to convey that in the game. So it's been proven he will have his atomic heat ray. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be pissed off at the game company because that's exactly what they said. So don't shoot me. Don't shoot the messenger. It's not me. It's from the game developer of the mobile, both iOS and Android mobile game. So that's something I was greatly looking forward to. And the last thing I was going to talk about was something that kind of was bugging me a little bit. I read this and not so much as to what was going on, but how it was handled. What I'm talking about is the Cherry City Comic Con, in which a cosplayer had a certain problem. She felt that basically her personal space was being violated. Nothing severe, nothing too serious, nothing really bad. She just felt like it wasn't up to snuff, up to her par, and she wanted a refund for her stay there. And what they had did was basically turn it into a big public thing in which they kind of said, they quoted her, used her first name, the people running the event. They had simply called her out and said she's batshit crazy and things of that nature. And it became a really big PR thing, which basically the guy came out and apologized. It wasn't so much of an apology, more like damage control. But at the same time, he, after a while, supposedly apologized directly to the cosplayer in question. But he, according to her, he did not address the situation that was plaguing this little situation. And that's where I don't understand these problems. I come from a place where we're recently having a comic convention, anime convention, video game convention called Anime Apocalypse. And apparently it did okay, but I from talking with the people a little bit and hearing from from friends of mine, it didn't sound like it was actually up to snuff. It didn't feel very professional. So the problem with that is most small time conventions that have the possibility and potential to grow into a major Comic-Con of sorts, they are run by people who aren't ambitious. They just feel like they can do it. And the ability to think you can do it is actually much different than the actual ability to do it. To execute a successful convention can take a lot out of you. And the problem is sometimes you take things too personally, you can take things too hard, and then you just look like an asshole. So it's rough to talk about this kind of things because I've only been to two sort of situations where it's a convention or an expo. One of which was PAX, before it was PAX Prime, and the other one's G Fest. I personally love G Fest, but I always felt they're entirely too small, in which the actual physical location is too small. I used to always love going to like the video game tournament and watching movies and things of that nature. The problem is where they're located, it feels too small, and it almost feels prohibited in a way. Basically, when you go down to the video game area or just the gaming area, it turns into the stereotype in which it smells, it's hot, it's muggy, you just get annoyed, and it just irritates you after a while. You don't want to be there. And I kind of enjoyed doing it for a while, but I've grown out of it, and I just didn't want to deal with it this year and having to sit in the hot room with a bunch of other people that, if you're good at a video game, you still have to deal. I'm not kidding. I had to deal with the stigma, which basically me being older, that automatically made me the reason why I beat other people that were younger than me. So it's hard to word it, but from what I could get out of context, an older man asked me in regards to why his grandson had lost. He said, "How old are you?" I said, "I was 28. He said, "See, that's why." And I didn't know if he meant simply I was just older and was more experienced, or I was older and I just didn't have a life and I was just playing games nonstop. A 28-year-old at some Godzilla convention. I wasn't too sure. It could be taken either way. So it wasn't, but that was just one minor aspect. The whole thing was it was cramped, it was hot, and it stank, to be perfectly honest. I mean, they need to have like an air freshener run through those tiny little rooms. Problem with that is also I just read that they are going to expand and take into a different room, a larger room, and turn that into a gaming room. So I may not change my mind. What I'll probably just do is check it out because they usually run like the old school SNES and NES and the hard to find games. And there's an indie game developer. He made a 2D kaiju fighter game in which basically he covers all sorts of different characters and they all play different ways. So I like to see how well his game's developing. That being said, that and PAX, I can see where the problem is, but here's the problem. PAX is, if you've ever been to PAX, you can see the security all around. If you've been to G-Fest, you can see the security. It's usually volunteers, but even then, it's usually pretty well safe. The fact of the matter is, if a person doesn't feel safe and they just simply want a refund because their personal feelings were afflicted and they didn't feel safe, or basically when it comes down to if a person asks for a refund for something that could be, well, not personal by nature. They didn't say, well, your convention sucks, I want my refund. That's something different. When they're saying, I didn't feel safe, I didn't feel secure, whether or not they actually were is something entirely different. In which basically you need to be a professional. All you need to do is say, I'm very sorry about that, you will receive your refund. Can you please describe the events that occurred that may have taken away your safety? Word it that way. Because guess what? The person is, if they tell you that and say, I'm very sorry to hear that, we will look into, even just say that, we will look into increasing our security, or we've been talking about increasing security, or something like that, to make the person feel safe. And they'll come back next year. Or they'll definitely at least think about coming back the following year. They may say, well, I don't know, but he did say, and they have even, maybe they address at the end of it, we had we had a security issue apparently, and we've addressed it, so we can assure you that next convention we will increase the security by 30% or 40% or whatever. Or we've implemented new policies regarding security. So just that little thing. You don't have to do that much. It's just basically a psychological aid to tell the person, we're sorry we feel that way, but we're going to make it better for you next time. Please come back. And that's all they had to do. Instead, it just blew out of proportion, and it was a lot of, no, I didn't. He said this, she said that. This wasn't said. That was taken out of context. This isn't what I meant. And it was just, it could have been over a lot easier, a lot quicker, and with a lot less mud being flung. So, it really depressed me to read that kind of thing, because the reason why I love being a geek as far as comic books and video games and movies and anime is because it's supposed to be a community in which we kind of support each other. Trolls can be laughed at, but no matter what, we usually back our own people. We support one another. If we see a cosplayer, like, either we point out instantly what the character is, or we go, who is that character, and usually take a picture of them just because of what they are doing. And a lot of times those people do it just for the sake of doing it. They don't get paid. They usually have to build their own costumes themselves. And it takes a lot of hard work for them to do that. And to make it harder on them it just makes it so much worse. And that really bugs me out that happened. It really does. It kind of depressed me that there's still that sort of, well, I almost want to say prejudice, but I don't believe that's right. It's more or less that negative mindset in which this person thought he was right to bring out this person's, I don't want to say flaws or faults because it's not right. It's just this person's insecurities and bring out to the public light like that. Even to address them by first name, that's taking it a step. That's making it personal. That's not right. That's wrong. That's not the way you should handle it. You should have kept it private. You should have assured the person and wish them better luck and invite them to come back next year and so on and so forth and handle it like an adult. That's the real thing that I was really disgusted. They handled it like a teenager would. It bummed me out, and I hate that. So how that's all going to play out, I really don't know. I think it's still an ongoing thing, and it will continue to be an ongoing thing because vendors were affected by this. They heard about how this is being handled and what was going on, and some of the vendors are questioning coming back. Some have already said we're not coming back, and not only that, but the cosplay community is actually very it's a very strong community. They support their own. A lot of the cosplayers are very positive people, but when you basically go out and attack them in a way, they will back their own and usually say, we won't go there. And a lot of them have fans, and they'll say, just, I had a bad experience, or my good friend had a bad experience there. And they won't tell the fans, don't go here. The fans will just say, I won't go there. And that's it. So, as you can see here, there's no background video for any video game. I haven't really been playing anything new. In all honesty, I've just been playing Smite and trying out new builds and things of that. I've been playing some Neverwinter, quite a bit of it, but you don't want to watch a video of that, of me playing it. A lot of it's just me messing around with professions and doing Sword Coast adventures and trying out dungeons. I'm just experimenting with stuff. But in all honesty, I tried watching it from basically from a third-person perspective, in which basically having a friend watch it while I was playing it as a neutral person, not a friend that would approve of what I usually do, just a person who came in off the street sort of thing that doesn't know anything about the game, of what I do, and basically just keep that like that. Try and keep it neutral. And they just didn't understand why I was even playing the game. It seemed boring to them, and I can understand it can. So I decided not to record it, and I'm going to continue not to record it. It's just a game I like to play in my own time. I don't really play it that often. It's just for poops and giggles. That's all. And the good news, I'd like to go on before Digital High. I'm going to have a little fun with Vince on this later. I have ordered a PS4, and I've pre-ordered Watch Dogs, and I was hoping to get Bound by Flame for the game, but for the system I'm going to get from PC. But I'm hoping to at least rent Infamous Second Son and give that a shot. So I'm upgrading. I'm finally going next gen, current gen, whatever. I'm finally getting along with the times. Yay! So there's that. So you might be able to look forward to me talking about PS4, what I think about it. I'll be able not do an official review, but just my impressions of the system and how the UI is and things of that nature. So that's about it. I apologize if I kind of bummed you out about the cosplay incident thing. That was something I wanted to kind of get out of the way. That was the longest story. I didn't want to bum you out right away. I want to talk about Amazing Spider-Man 2, get that out of the way. Rejoice about Godzilla having his infamous, iconic, atomic heat ray. Oh, that made me so happy to hear that and read that finally. I'm not kidding. Months. That was like one of the last questions I had is, will he have this? He has to have it. So, and then I want to get that story out of the way because it's been bugging me. That really got under my skin. So, that's it for the Solocast. I'm Aaron, the Gaming Godfather, here with the True Gamer Dimension Solocast, and I'll talk at you next week.